Clive wants to estimate the number of bees in a beehive. He catches 50 bees from the beehive and he marks each of those with dye. He then lets the bees go. The next day he catches 40 bees from the beehive and 8 of those bees have been marked with the dye. Work out an estimate for the number of bees in the beehive. So let's say that there are X bees in the beehive in total. And when he caught 50 of them, he marked them all with dye. So that means that there are 50 out of the total X. This is the fraction, this is the proportion of bees that have dye on them. 50 is how many he put dye on. There are X in total. So there's 50 out of X bees. That's the proportion, that's the fraction of bees that have got dye on them. The next day, he catches 40 of them and 8 of them have dye. So that fraction is 8 out of 40. So this is a fraction on day 2 that have got dye on them. This is the fraction on day 1 that have got dye on them. So as long as there's been no dramatic changes in the proportions overnight, we'd expect these two proportions to be exactly the same. So as long as there hasn't been a huge number of bees that have left the beehive, or a huge number of bees that have since been born, or anything like that, if we assume that there hasn't been any dramatic changes overnight, then the proportion, the fraction of bees that have got dye on them on day 1 should be roughly the same as the fraction of bees that have got dye on them on day 2. We then just need to rearrange this to make X a subject. So I'm going to move the X up to the top there. I'm going to move this 40 up to the top over there. So I've got 50 times 40, which is 2000, equals 8x. If I divide 2000 by 8 now, that's going to give me, so that's going to give me 250. So I think there's 250 bees in the beehive. Part 2, write down any assumptions that I've made. Well, assumes that the proportion of bees with dye on them remains the same. So no new bees in the beehive, or no bees have left the beehive, or saying that none of the dye got rubbed off or rubbed onto other bees or anything like that. There we go.